Welcome to this week's Flipinar. This is Ty, aka the Flip Man. We're also live on YouTube. For those that are there on YouTube, somewhat bootleg this up. YouTube hadn't caught up with Facebook Live and Instagram Live, obviously Periscope. But hey, we're making it work. So those of you that are on YouTube Live, you should be able to see the screen. You can make comments or whatever, but I won't be able to respond to those as of yet. So, but we're going live, so we're going to go ahead and get into it. So I'm going to share my screen here. So boom, tonight's topic, great deal or no deal. So this particular topic is basically just telling you what's a deal and what's not a deal. If you can hear me on the Any Meeting platform, please acknowledge where you're from. But great deal or no deal. This is one of the most common questions that I get. It's the basics of it. I have tons of videos that explain just that. What's a deal? What's not a deal? If you're new to my Flipinars, the process is normally where I'm going to go through some of the other stuff that I cover, tell you a little bit about me and who I am and how I got started, and we'll get into the actual topic, and I'll tell you what I know about it, and hopefully it'll be helpful. But before we get into that, let's do a little house cleaning. Here's you're not going to make $10,000 a month. Most people know this, but we just have to get this disclaimer if you don't do anything. So we get that out of the way. I'll give away 2 free courses at the end of the question and answer period tonight. So don't let me forget, because sometimes I will. I have done it once before. Let me just say that. And so basically, I'll give one to the chat side and to the call-in side. Okay, I have another property available. It's a Family Dollar. There's a $9,500 finder's fee for a buyer. You can get more information there at triplenetcash.com. That's nNcash.com. That's nNcash.com, which means triple net. So there's $9,500 finder's fee. There are a couple of videos there to explain to you how to locate buyers. I'm going to add an additional tip there probably by tomorrow to help you market it online. You know, I try to keep stuff offline by not providing an address, but more or less a region and maybe the state where it's located. But if you go there to the site, you can see where you can download the offering memorandum, or in the business it's called an OM. Basically, it's a flyer with the information about the property. If you're not aware, I offer over 200. I have over 200 videos available on my YouTube channel for anyone to take advantage of. And if you go to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications to get updates of whenever I post new videos. So make sure that you do that. Still trying to adjust my YouTube version of this deal here. As I said, I had to bootleg this up. YouTube hadn't caught up with Facebook Live and Instagram, where it's all built into a simple app and you just press a button. You have to depend on outside apps to do such. So I think I have it positioned the way I want it now. All right, so you can follow me on Instagram at flipman.net. Follow me on Twitter, the Flipman. I see my man Tom is here. Gonna hear some good things from him in the future. But the Flipman on Twitter. Hold on one second, guys. Someone wants to try to find out how to get on the YouTube live. Okay. But yeah, and again, subscribe to my channel. If you want a free copy of the contract that I have, you can text the word contract to 313131. That's 313131. A free copy of my actual contract. Don't text me, text the word contract to 313131. Treat that just like a phone number. No area code needed. That's the actual number you'll text to. Some people want training in their actual city. I do offer that. Just simply just call or text me for the pricing. It's not cheap by no means. So comparably, I'm just being told it up front for you, but some people prefer that option. So I do offer it. If you're interested in wholesaling commercial real estate, similar to the property that I have with the Family Dollar, you can go to flipthisbuilding.com for that particular coaching. But the way I do it, the way I teach it, low competition. You can do it virtually. A sea of opportunity because you can target the entire country. No cash or credit needed. And obviously big fat paydays. PrivateMoneyList.net. The domain name, the website name speaks for itself. So if you need private money, I have a list on that you can access. Just go to the site, enter your phone number. The next page, Keith Yackett, will go into what the service offers, which I use the real POF all the time. So let's get into it. My goal here tonight, whether you know a lot about real estate or this is your first time even being introduced to anything concerning real estate, is to introduce you to wholesaling. I personally think that it's the best way to get started in real estate, whether or not you have $1 in the bank, or if you have $1 million in the bank, whether you have a 450 credit score or an 850 credit score. I personally think this is the best way to get started. So let me explain to you what is wholesaling. Well, my actual definition of wholesaling is where you can negotiate a deal with an actual owner cheap enough where you can control it with a contract, and you can find a cash buyer that basically wants to buy your position, remove you from the transaction. Okay, so how does that work? Well, let me break that down for you. Assuming that you could, we're talking about a residential property here. Assuming that you can locate a property that is worth $100,000 in excellent condition, meaning once it's fixed up, that's what the property is worth. But for whatever reason, you can place that property under contract for $30,000. Some reasons may be, just as an example, it may be going through a divorce. It may be a tired landlord. It may be an inherited property, which can be probate, I guess. It could be from relocation. It can be an out-of-town owner. It can be someone that has lost their job, someone that's has a kid that's going to college. They don't have enough for the tuition. So the reasons for motivations goes on and on. All right. So you get the property under contract for $30,000 with the seller, and you market the property. When I say market, advertise the property, we'll just say at $48,000. So one investor steps up and say, "Hey, I can't pay you 48. I won't pay you 40, but would you accept 41,000?" Now, I'm going to accept that offer because that's an $11,000 a spread. So now you would have contract A. Contract A for $30,000 and contract B for 41,000. That's contract A is with the seller. Contract B is with your buyer, cash buyer. So whenever you go to close, the seller receives $30,000. You receive $11,000, which is the difference between $41,000 and $30,000, and the buyer receives, ownership of the property. So it's happy day. Everybody's happy. The closing attorney or the title company is happy. The seller's happy. The buyer's happy. And of course, you are happy with your $11,000 payday. That is a wholesale transaction. So you ask yourself, is this something that I should be doing? Well, here are some examples. Here's a student in Memphis, which I actually have a video on my channel, my YouTube channel. This interview here, the student, he advertised on Craigslist, saying that he buys houses, and this couple called him. They were moving to Texas from Memphis, relocating. They had purchased a rental property that they never did the repairs on, so they knew they were not going to move back to Memphis. Therefore, they wanted to liquidate the property. So they sold the property to him, where he had an opportunity within 27 days of placing it under contract, I think is the number we came up with. And he found a cash buyer, and he made $6,444.40. Now, if you do the return on investment on that, he invested $10. The return on investment, the percentage is 64,344%, which is a ridiculous amount as far as ROI. All right. Here's another example. Student in Baltimore, he actually gave the seller, and it came from a bandit sign, he gave them $1. Now, he ended up splitting the deal with someone he brought in that produced a buyer, so he only made $16,000, but the total deal return on investment was $199,900%, which is basically like an infinite amount of ROI. Now, of course, there are a lot of ways to make money in real estate, but if you're talking about return on investment, nothing compares to wholesaling because of what you'll have invested in it versus what you'll make. To the left here, you see I have an example where if just a normal flip, buy, fix, and flip, which is what most people are familiar with, say a guy spends a total of $50,000 from the purchase, the renovations, paying you, even if he wholesale or however he bought it, along with closing costs, he had $50,000 investment, a total investment, and he flipped the property for $80,000. So that's a $30,000 difference. So the ROI is 60%. Yeah, he made 30 grand, but look what he had invested. He had over 50 grand invested in, so he had money at risk. Now, I'm not saying people shouldn't do that. I'm just comparing the two as far as return on investment. And whereas one of them is a barrier to entry because a lot of people don't have $50,000 to invest in a real piece of into a property from purchase, rehab, closing costs. So, but a lot of people have $1 and $10 to invest into a property, and this deal was the same as this deal, which this is a hypothetical deal. This is the real deal here. But I'll just give you an example. But again, you make money both ways. I'm just telling you the return on investment. There's no competition or there's no comparison. So just to tell you a little bit about me, I'm an entrepreneur first, and wholesaling houses is how I've made money over the years. I've tried a lot of different things, but nothing compares to well, matter of fact, I haven't made a lot of money on a lot of different things. I've tried to make a lot of money on a lot of different things. I've only made money on a couple of things, but real estate is the most profitable by far. But I'm not one of those kids that grew up as an entrepreneur where, I've been doing this since I was 8, 9 years old, selling lemonade or garbage bags door to door like Mark Cuban or anything like that. I'm a late bloomer, I guess you would say. I didn't really get an entrepreneur spirit or mindset until my early 20s when I was in college. And one of the first things that I did is that I had the brilliant idea that I was going to take my student loan money and start to buy used cars. So I acquired a dealer's license for my state, and I started going to dealer's auctions. And they have hundreds of cars out there, and if a car was 12, 13, 10 years old, it would look like it was off the showroom floor, but it could easily be a piece of junk. So if you're not mechanically inclined, then it's easy for you to get your hat handed to you. And so that's what happened to me. So that opportunity was short-lived for me. And so another thing that I did, I started a mobile car wash business. I got the idea from a friend of my brother's. We had went to Daytona Beach Black Beach Weekend back in 1995, and his friend, said that's what he did, and he had made did 6 figures for a couple of years consecutively with the mobile car wash business. So I couldn't wait till I got back to Birmingham to start, my own business. So when I got back to Birmingham, I purchased a passenger van where the seats had been removed for $900. I purchased a pressure washer and a 100-gallon water tank. Went great. That was in the spring of 95. As long as it was warm, great business. Great business. But once it got cold, 40-degree weather, 50-degree weather, 60-degree weather doesn't mix with this black man and water splashing on you. So I was out of that business. So fast forward, got into a lot of, a few multi-level network marketing opportunities. Never made money with any of those. Not saying you can't, I just can't. I'm not a salesperson. You have to be able to convince people to believe what you believe. Now you can get fortunate, and you may get a couple of people early on your team that have the ability to do that, and you benefit off of that, but I wasn't one of those individuals. So before I got into real estate, I was dealing with Prepaid Legal, and it's now called Legal Shield. and one of my friends and his now wife were going to school to become real estate agents. So the guy that normally taught the real estate class, he didn't talk about being a real estate agent. The guy that normally taught the class, he was absent, and the guy that substituted, he didn't talk about being a real estate agent. He talked about investing in real estate. And so my friend told me some of the things that he was talking about, and so I didn't act on it at that time. That was in October of 2002. Fast forward a couple of months later, and I was at my mom's house for Christmas, and I was up early, waiting on her to prepare breakfast, and I saw one of Carlton Sheets' infomercials, and he didn't. As you know, with Carlton, the information, they really wasn't telling you anything, but just basically testimonies of people saying they made this much money, but they really wasn't. They were not telling you how they made the money. So I went up to dial. I was about halfway through that when I caught it about halfway. So I went up to dial and found one from beginning to end. So I thought to myself that at the end of the program is that he can't be lying about all of this. And so at that time, my mom didn't have internet. So I waited till I got back to Birmingham, and I did a search on this entrepreneur message board that I used to frequent called ablake.net. And I asked the question, does Carlton Sheets program really work? And only one person replied, and he said, yes, it does, but Ron LeGrand's course works better. And so I did a search for Ron, found his website, and at that time he was selling his package for like right around $1,500, and that was a lot of money to me. And so I didn't have that money, but what they did have was a condensed version of it for $69.99. With shipping $80. I ordered that. It was in cassette tape form. So you know how long ago that's been for it to be in cassette tape form. And so I ordered and listened to it, and all it did was just enough information to say, hey, this is something I need to be doing, or I can do. And so I had made up in my mind if I had to get a second job, I would, and save the money to purchase the $1,500 course. So a couple of days later, I thought about eBay, and I did a search for his name, and bam, there was his courses. There were auctions on his courses. So I bid it on one of the auctions, and I lost the auction. And I lost the auction, but the guy that was running the auction, he emailed me and asked me, did I want a burnt copy of the course? And so we agreed on $400. He shipped it to me. And back then you could do that with eBay. Sellers could contact, bidders. He shipped it to me, and it took me about 3 weeks to go through all of it. But it was a lot of information. I went from knowing nothing about real estate to just information overload on creative ways to make money in real estate. No money down techniques, from wholesaling houses or real estate mainly houses to retailing, which is the buy, fix, and flip, lease options, subject to, he had a module in there called for sale by owner. Out of all of that, what attracted me the most was wholesaling, because you can be in and out of the deal. All you have to do is advertise. He highly recommended bandit signs. So I ordered 50 bandit signs and overpaid for them. I paid $250 for them. I got them back on a Friday and started putting them out on a Sunday morning. That Monday, the very first 2 calls were deals. All right, one of them was a lease option opportunity, and the other one was a wholesale opportunity. So the lease option opportunity blew up in my face, and this is how. Seller had a property, and his mom passed, left him the house. He didn't live in the house. He had his own house that he was paying a mortgage on, but this house had a mortgage on also. He couldn't afford to pay both mortgages. So he was behind on the house he was trying to get me to buy. So I explained to him he owed too much for me to purchase it cash. So I explained to him I'll do a lease option on it. It needed some repairs, but it was okay. And plus, I didn't really know what I was doing anyway. So I explained to him the process that I would take over the payments, and how I would make my money is that I'll charge the tenant a little more than what the monthly payment is worth. And also I'll get a non-refundable down payment from the tenant, which will be applied to the purchase price, subtracted from the purchase price that the tenant and I agreed upon. So he was cool with that. So I advertised the property, and this lady stepped forward. She wanted somewhere for her family to stay as far as a house. I think she was living in an apartment. And she gave me $5,000 down, when we signed the contract, sitting right in an old Charlie's restaurant on Parkway East. I think I've been saying Centerpoint Parkway, but it's Parkway East in the Centerpoint area. You're familiar with Birmingham. There's a Mexican restaurant there now. But anyway, so that was the most money I'd ever had in my hand at once outside of a tax return, $50, $100 bills. So me being a guy that wants everybody to win, the house needed minor repairs, and she wanted to start to get some of that stuff done before she moved into the property. And the guy that owned the property, he was a handyman. He said he could do some of that stuff, as through our conversations. So I recommended that he do that for him. But also a guy that this is when I had a full-time job, I worked with, he did mortgages on the side, and the owner of the property wanted to refinance the property that he was living in. And so I thought I would just, put them together, again, win-win-win. And so my friend, he knew that I found a tenant, and the lady had already given me $5,000. He mentioned it to the seller. The seller felt I should have given him half, if not all of that $5,000. Okay, so he got in an uproar. And so when he was supposed to meet the lady to discuss the repairs on the house, he came over there in a rage and told her to get off his property. Tyrone did not own this property, and he was going to call the police. And so she called me upset, crying, because she had thought she had been scammed out of her $5,000. I let her know, hey, where are you right now? I'll meet you with your money. I had already spent about $700 of it, and at that time I wasn't, rolling like that where I could just easily replace money. And so, anyway, so I met the lady, gave her money back. So I called the seller, and he and I got into it. Before all this happened, I found out that he was a minister. Not that it matters, but just the way he handled business, it just a black eye. You know what I'm saying? And so he and I got into a verbal altercation. I was cursing him, he was cursing me back, and I said, by the way, I heard you were a minister. I need to know what church you're affiliated with. What did I say that for? He said, if I ever see you again, you better hope I never see you again. It's not going to be nice, or some to that degree. So anyway, that was the end of that. So the second call were two sisters where they owned a property. They inherited a property from their mom that passed. Like a lot of people, we're not going to sell mom's house. Too many memories here. Had the brilliant idea we're going to rent out to family members. Family members and friends are the worst people to rent to, in my opinion. And after going through 2 or 3 years of not collecting rent on time, or not at all, and people tearing up the house and them having to repair, they were motivated to sell, and sell cheap. So we agreed on $20,000. I had never done a wholesale deal, and remember the lease option deal that already blew up in my face. So anyway, so I met at their house, showed up in my 1985 Toyota Celica, white convertible. This was 2003, so it was an 18-year-old car, but they thought I actually had the $20,000 with me. I told them it didn't work like that. It was like a 30-day process. So I advertised the property. This realtor stepped forward and said he had a client, a cash buyer, and I explained to him that I was wholesaling the property, told him what I had under contract for. So the realtor said, in order for us to do this deal, I need half of that. So I agreed to that. I didn't know any better, but I agreed to that. Pigs get fed, hogs get slaughtered. And point being, don't be greedy. So we agreed on that. I met these guys in a shopping center. They gave me a $500 earnest money. We signed a contract. About 10 days later, we closed at his attorney's office. That's why I tell students, don't worry about title companies or closing attorneys. just use who the buyers you. Normally you're dealing with seasoned buyers. They're going to already have those relationships built. And all the thing you have to do is just piggyback off of them. So anyway, we closed on the deal. I made $2,500. It might as well have been $250,000 because I had failed at so many things before that, hey, all I wanted to see that it would work. So the next 12 months, I did about 10 deals. I probably could have quit my job then, but I was afraid to because I did before, nearly starved to death, and they gave me an opportunity to come back. I was afraid to do it that reason. Plus, I felt obligated to some of the managers that spoke up for me. So 2006 rolled around, 3 years, basically 3 years later, it just got to a point where the job was getting in the way of me making money. So I came into work one day off of a split shift. I used to work what is called a split shift, where I came in at 7 a.m., left at 11 a.m., 11:30, came back at 3 and to 6 p.m. And a supervisor said something to me that I didn't like, and I just thought to myself, hey, I don't have to do this anymore. So I called the clerk's desk, tell her I wasn't feeling well. I reported out for the next 2 weeks. I took my resignation notice up there, dated for May 1st. It was on a Sunday, I think. I'm pretty sure it was. April 30th. Put one on the clerk's desk, put one on the supervisor's desk, and hey, I dropped the mic. I was done. That was over 10 years ago. And hadn't looked back since. But like many, as I said, I failed at a lot of businesses. From a small town of less than 1,000 people. That's where I really grew up at. Obviously, I'm in a much, much larger town, but I'm just letting you know that I'm not the smartest guy. I have a lot of challenges as a human being, but I guess what may separate me from others is that I will take action. That's, again, I mention this all the time. People call me and say, man, I've been wanting to do this for years. I've been studying this for years. I've been in this seminar, that seminar, or whatever, but they never taken action. They're afraid to fail, afraid to make a mistake. I've been in this 14 years going on at the date of this video. I still make mistakes, but the great thing about it, it's rare I've lost money. I may have been a little embarrassed or whatever, but that's some of the best experience that you can get. Embarrassment is free. But, if you don't ever take action, you can't succeed. You can't fail, but you definitely can't succeed either if you don't ever take action. So as I discovered, as many of you that you thought it was the hard way, you thought you needed tons of money to invest in real estate. Wholesaling shows you that you don't. Thinking you need a real estate license. I had a lady, I don't know if a lady or male, asked me, was this illegal? And sometimes you can catch me wrong. I may be a little sarcastic. Normally I'll follow up to let you know I didn't really mean that, but I'm human like anyone else. So I did a LOL, and I would say, so you really think that I would base my financial life off something that's illegal, which I know people do illegal stuff, but I also put videos about that is, what I'm doing. I say, what do you think? That come on now, and then I had to follow up and say, hey, I don't mean to be smart, but I just want you to think about what you're asking. We're sitting down with the same title companies, the same attorneys that real estate agents use. They're not putting their livelihood at risk for me. Who am I? You know what I'm saying? And people like me. Yes, it's illegal. Just because people don't know about it doesn't mean that it's illegal. Just say you don't know about it. It's that simple. But anyway, a lot of people want to wait till they have everything figured out. I try to calm students down. They feel like they just have to know everything. No, that's what you paid me for, to take you step by step, where you don't have to worry about those small details. It'll make a lot more sense when you go through a complete transaction. It all just comes together for you. You can be on information overload and don't ever do anything because you think you have to have it all figured out. No, again, that's you just need to take action. You know what I'm saying? A lot of stuff just gonna fall into place. Nothing like experience of failure and success. But people like to read books. That's not really my thing. They a lot of times books don't, from my experience or people that I talk to, even the stuff that I've skimmed through, it doesn't. It's too vague. It's not giving you enough details to do it. Some people are comprehensive enough that they can probably figure out and fill in the holes through additional research, but normally just an upsell. Not hating on them, just telling you what it is. Say working a BS job, trying to keep the lights on. Hey, you got to do what you got to do. I don't recommend anyone quitting their job and just start doing this. Some people got a gator like that and can probably do it, but I wouldn't recommend it. You know what I'm saying? Unless you have a good savings, maybe 6 to 12 months of savings for all your bills. Yeah, maybe you could dive in at the point, but it's not necessary because you can do both at the same time, because I did it. You know what I'm saying? The others do it also. You can still work your whatever you're doing to produce your income, but you can add this on, and then if it replaces it, it replaces it. Taking pointless business classes in college. That's me. I'm not going to say they're pointless, but they were pointless to me because I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and they didn't teach you how to be an entrepreneur. I don't know what we were learning. I really don't. I guess that's why I wasn't that good at it. But going to seminars, I get those calls on a daily basis. I've done it myself. Constantly upsell. Again, I'm not hating, just telling you what it is, from experience. And you can always also be on information overload. People say, well, I listened to this guy. What do you think about this guy? But hey, don't call me with that. You know what I'm saying? I give away enough information. If you want to bounce around, I'm not going to tell you not to educate yourself in any avenue that's possible. But don't call me, ask me about other people. You know what I'm saying? Just don't, because I can't tell you the last time I listened to somebody else that does exactly what I do. Now, there's one guy online that I listen to or whatever, but it's a totally different ball game or whatever. But other than that, I'll see names just because I check on my own stuff, but I rarely listen to other people's stuff. So people don't ask me, what I think about this guy. Now I'm just gonna say I don't know. I don't have an opinion anyway. But just wanted to put that out there. I guess I'm on my soapbox. Again, a reminder of the 2 free courses. So we're going to get into the topic for tonight. Great deal or no deal. I was going to, my friend said deal or no deal. I said, well, no, we might not use that because that may be a copyright infringement or something. I don't know. So we're going to use great deal or no deal, which is really what you need is a great deal, not just a deal, but a great deal or no deal in order to wholesale it. So let's go ahead and get into it. How long did it take us to get here tonight? It took about the same time it does every week. But anyway, so what makes a great deal? Obviously, it starts with the price. When I have my student, they tell somebody call me today, blah, blah, blah. And they'll tell you the first thing I always ask them, well, what's the price? They didn't give me one, or I didn't ask. You know what I'm saying? It all starts there. All right. It starts with the price, which I'm going to get into that because that's such a huge part of it is the actual price. All right. The next thing is the actual location of the property. Now, all of this is going to go right back to price in some form of fashion. Now, obviously, and each market is different. Some areas, some locations are going to be. Hold on a second, guys. I lost my mics here. Some areas and some locations are going to be hotter than others. But are going to be hotter than others. So, like the area that I tried to do a live stream video today, but as I said, you have to use it up on YouTube, and you have to use a third party app to do that. And I think the area that I was in, I had a low cellular bar, so I couldn't get. I guess the data couldn't upload fast enough. So forgive me if you were on that earlier today. But anyway, so the location, and obviously you're going to have the higher end located. Everybody wants to be in those areas or whatever. Then you're going to have the blue collar and everything in between. Each market is going to be different. The area that I was in today, it's an interesting area because you can have the blue collar up until I would say not upper middle class, but just I guess between middle class and upper middle class. that's the range of houses that you'll deal with. For my market, that'll be from 700,000. I mean, from 70,000 in this particular market, you can have houses up to about 400,000. Okay, so, but it is such a vast area as far as population that you're going to have investors. If I found a great deal in that area, I have a buyer for it the next day, once I put it in the contract. So again, it's all price driven, but in relation to the area and the perception that your buyers, your buyers are going to want. Okay, so so the turnaround time, and what I mean by that is I should have did days on the market. A lot of buyers are going to want to know how fast can I sell this to an actual family, a family that wants to live there. So again, that boils back down to price and location. So some areas, even though like in this particular area I was talking about, it's on the eastern side of my market, is that the houses between 70 and maybe $90,000, they may sit on the market a little while. But on the higher end of it, when you start talking about high hundreds, twos, threes, get up to the fours, they may not sit on the market that long at all, especially in the threes and in the fours. So anyway, so the turnaround time. So and again, what that simply means is that once the investor purchases the property, rehabs it, puts it on the market, normally they're going to list it with a realtor. How fast can they sell it? So you're backdooring what makes a great deal. That's why you can get away with selling. Like one of the best deals that I've done, we closed it in 8 days. It's one of the best deals I've ever done in my 14 years. We closed it in 8 days. And the total transaction was $140,000. From paying me, the seller, and the buyer, would close it was for $140,000, and we closed it in 8 days. So, and he sold the property fast after he rehabbed it, and he ended up, I think he had a total of about 320 in it, maybe about 220, 225 in it, and ended up selling it for around like 355, some ridiculous number. I had a good payday, but it wasn't that good. So anyway, and then profit potential. All right. So obviously, that's going to be subjective and depends on the investor. Again, when you're dealing in a higher end, they're going to have more at risk. So that's why I'll get students to send me stuff over. It may be 300,000 ARV, meaning what the house will appraise for in excellent condition. And the seller wants, we'll just say 230. All right, that's a $70,000 spread, right? Okay, but what the student doesn't understand all the time, and I have to make sure they understand this, is that most of those guys, let me say this first. Okay, that's not going to be $70,000 that they're going to make, because they still have to pay you, right, the wholesaler. They have to pay closing costs twice, and they say it doesn't need any repairs. They always need repairs. It may not mean as others they're always going to need repairs. So that 70,000 gets eaten up. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, that even though it has that $70,000 spread, he only ends up really making about 40. They're not going to spend $260,000 for the most part. You're always going to have your outliers, but for the most part, most investors are not going to spend $260,000 to make $40,000. It's just not. they're looking, if they spend that kind of money, they're looking to get close to making almost 100 off of it, at least 6 figures off of it. In most cases, again, you're going to always have your outliers. It depends on your market. Some markets are hotter than earth. That may be a great deal, but for the most part, that's just the mindset of these guys. That's a lot of money to put out there for that return. So I hope I broke that down on what makes a great deal. So let's get in the math side of it. All right. So now understand that this formula, you'll see it all over the internet, and this is just my version of it, is not just a set in stone number. It's more to keep you from wasting time than anything. All right. So let's break it down. So ARV, what that stands for, what that acronym stands for, is after repair value. And people get confused because you hear the word repair in there. Simply what it means is that what will the house appraise for in excellent condition? That's my street version or layman's term definition of that. Times 60 to 70%. And the reason I use that range because you see videos where I have 60%, you'll see videos where I have 70%. So for the sake of this, I'll just give you the range. And what that simply means is that you're basically building in the profit and holding costs for an investor. You have to think in the mind of an investor whenever you're negotiating these deals. And so not the 60% is their profit or 70%, it's the difference. Either 30% or 40%. 40% plus 60% makes 100%. 70% plus 30% makes 100%. So the 30% on the 70%, it'll be his holding costs and profit. Same thing with the 60%. All right. So you can't go wrong with either. I just put the range out there. Again, this is not set in stone. It only just gives you something to go by so you don't waste a lot of time. So once you come up with that number, you subtract the repair cost. Now, a lot of times when you're talking to a seller you're negotiating with, you won't know that. So just to be conservative, depending on, you can just throw out a number. We'll just say $20,000. If it's less than that, then that's just a bonus for you if you can negotiate your deal based off of that. But if it's more than that, you'll have to go back in, and the seller knows what condition their property is in, even though they may tell you something different over the phone, and you act accordingly. All right. So now you might subtract your fee times 2, and that'll equal the ballpark offer. All right. So let's get into some just raw numbers here. So as in this example, we'll just say the ARV is $100,000. Again, what that simply means is what would the house appraise for in excellent condition? All right. So the repair cost, we're just going to say it's $20,000. And your fee, say you want to make $7,000 on that. That's not a set in stone number, but you need something to go by. Times 2. So that's a total of $14,000. All right. So let's put this in actual, format where you can see the difference. Okay. So you're going to take the $100,000. That's the ARV times, we'll just say instead of 60% or 70%, you go in the middle, 65%. All right. And then you're going to subtract the 20,000 from that amount, which that would have been 65,000. So you'll subtract 20,000, which is the repair cost, and your fee times 2, which was 7,000 times 2 is 14,000. So that leaves $31,000. That's your ballpark offer. Now you can offer that amount, but in reality, I'm going to probably offer less than that if they force me into making that offer. My goal is to get them to give me their least amount instead of me making an offer and try to pull their least amount out of them. So, which I had a previous webinar on how I go about that process. I won't get in there. You have to go to that previous webinar. But we'll just use 31,000 as the number. So, boom. So, if you can get down to that number based off the data that you have, as far as the ARV, if that's correct, the repairs, if that's close to being the number, and then obviously what you think you want to make on it, boom. So you may actually be able to make more than that $7,000 that you really said you want to make. So great deal or no deal. That's basically it in a nutshell. So let's get into some numbers on how you can change your situation. So People want to know, can they make this as a full-time income and replace the job that they don't or do like? Which I didn't hate my job. I just wanted more. So let's start here with just some simple numbers. So 3 to 5 deals per month are normally going to change most people's financial situation and change it quickly. All right. So in order to accomplish that, just from my experience and dealing with students of mine and non-students, other wholesalers, 3 to 5, you must talk to 3 to 5 sellers per day. And that all, in my opinion, to simplify it, take a lot of the frustration out of it, because the business can be frustrating. You need to be a great marketer. Now, there are some free ways of doing it, but just a few $100s, you can put a great marketing campaign in place. Obviously, your title is a wholesaler / investor, but in reality, you're a marketer. You're a marketer / advertiser, because your job on a daily basis is to get up and let people know that you exist. That's it. Your job is to get up and let people know you exist. Sellers is what I mean. So let's do some simple math here. Say one deal a month, you average $5,000 to $7,000 per deal. That's 12 deals in a year. That's $60,000 to $84,000 per year. Go up a little bit. 2 deals per month, $5,000 to $7,000 per year. Per deal. That's 24 deals in a year. That's $120,000 to $168,000 per year. Let's go up to 5 deals per month, $5,000 to $7,000 average, 60 deals in a year. That's $300,000 to $420,000 per year. Hey, now they know your name at the bank. Hello, Mr. Taylor. How are you? I'm great. How are you doing today, sweetie? But anyway, that's what you all want to shoot for. So don't forget, the 2 free courses at the end of the webinar. Remember the 200 free videos that I have on my YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe, turn on the notifications. You want a free copy of the contract I've been using for the last 14 years. You can text the word contract to 313131. Don't text me. Text the word contract to the number 313131. No area code. Remember to follow me on Instagram, flipman.net, on Twitter, TheFlipMan. Again, subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can call or text me about my courses and coaching at 205-492-3425. If you want to sign up, you can go to flipman.net. All right. So, and remember, realpof.com. If you want proof of funds, you're going to deal with real estate agents or brokers. It's the only way they're going to take you serious. Realpof.com. Go there, submit your phone number. The next page, Keith Yack is going to explain to you the service that I've been using. Getting offers accepted. It's real, realpof.com. PrivateMoneyList.net. It speaks for itself. Over 400 private money lenders and more being added each month, along with over 40,000 cash buyers on a list. All right, so let's get to the question and answer period. Let me just stop my screen sharing here. So how many people we got here tonight? Okay, we got a little crowd. Okay, so let me see here. If you posted a question before, make sure that you repost it, because I was, going through everything and I didn't see the chat room. So make sure you repost. So let me start here, see what we got. Someone said Carlton Sheets had decent forms inside. I don't think he taught how to find deals. It was too vague. Someone asked, let me read it first here. All right, it says, please give an in-depth explanation of the proof of funds letter, assists wholesaler with realtors, etc. As you know, the POF will cost $3.99. My understanding, the private money list costs $8.99. My question from your professional perspective, when is it wise? I think my YouTube live went off. Hold on a second, guys. What happened? Oh, for some reason my phone isn't charging. Hold on one second, guys. Okay. For some reason my phone wasn't charging on my YouTube live, so it went out. So I guess they'll have to pick that back up. But anyway, so let me get back to the questions. Yeah, on the real POFs, again, only if you're going to use realtors. I use that service. I've used the private money list. Um, I I didn't have to pay for them because I'm an affiliate for the service. They reached out to me. I used the service, before I decided to put it out there to students. So it's been working for me to use it. Again, um, it depends on what you're trying to do, whether you need those services or not. I recommend them. I'm not pushing them on you because you can do deals without either. It just depends on what you're trying to do. Um, someone says, what are the steps to get houses inspected for repairs? Well, you're not going to do that. You don't need an inspector. You as a wholesaler, you just need a generalization of what it costs to 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 repair a house. I actually have a previous flipper on that topic. Just go to YouTube and do a search for estimating repair costs and flipper. You should see it. I'm not going to go into details on that, but it'll explain how to do it. But you're not going to hire an inspector. You'll go broke doing that. So anyway, so let me see here. What's the next question? All right. Someone says, have you sent out a direct mail campaign? Your leads were from an information broker and did not get a deal. I'm assuming the mail out is at least 300 to 400 postcards. Oh yeah, I've done that before. That I guess to answer your question, yeah, but I know it works, so you have to be consistent with it and tweak it. So let me see here. Um, I found two people. All right, someone says I found two people who are about to go into foreclosure. I sent my first two letters to them today. Okay, great. Nothing like action. Hopefully they respond back to you and there's some meat on the bone there. Uh, Then how much interest do you pay when borrowing from the private money list? Oh, it depends on who you're dealing with. That's going to vary from lender to lender. All right, let me read the next one. All right, so all right, so someone says, should we as the wholesaler be concerned if the title is clear before assigning to the end buyer, which I hate that term end buyer, but anyway, um, yes and no. Starting out, it can be expensive trying to get a title search, $300 to maybe $600 depending on where you are. Um, you can just wait until you get a buyer and then go through the motion as you normally do. Buyers are used to title issues, so it won't, be a big deal in the scheme of things. So you can wait until you get a buyer if you don't have the money to do the title search up front. You're taking a risk of losing that money, without it being replaced by the buyer because, you may not be able to find a buyer. That's real. Um, Someone says, how you handle the bandit sign police? Do you hide your real number? Yeah, I don't put my real number on signs. There's too much technology out there, guys, to put your real phone number on signs to answer that question. Someone says, also, are absentee owners usually motivated sellers? It's a numbers game. I don't care what source you're using. It's going to be a very small percentage of the individuals that you're targeting to, number one, contact you. Number two, the ones that do contact you, a small percentage of them are going to be motivated sellers to get the property cheap enough. But the great thing about this business, you're not selling pencils. You can have 100 people that you talk to in a month, which is ideal, 150, and only 3 of those turn into deals. But that may mean 15, 20, $25,000. Three out of 100 contacts, that's only 3% success. So the other 97% was unsuccessful. So the majority of the people that you talk to, they're not going to be deals. 14 years in this, and I'm still surprised when I hear a number that works for me, meaning price over the phone with a seller. The next question is, all right, let me read this. Have you experienced success from reaching out to real estate agents directly? Uh, Being selective, of course, regarding which homes you contact realtors about. Yeah, I don't like doing it. It's some tedious work. I'm a bum that way. I really need someone to help me with that. But to answer your question, yes, if you're going to use target listed properties by real estate agents, don't use your own agent. Contact the excuse me, contact the listing agent directly is what I highly recommend because you want to use the greed factor in your favor. If you contact the listing agent directly, the listing agent will receive 100% of the commission. So, not saying that you're going to guarantee a deal there by no means, but it does increases your chances greatly of getting a low ball offer or accepted or something close to it that makes it work for you. Someone says, when driving for dollars, how many houses should you mail to per week? That's going to be based on your budget. That's a vague question with there's a vague answer for it. It's just going to be it's going to be difficult to answer that question. Let me see if I can share my screen again here. I want to, yeah, that's what I want. Okay, boom. Yeah, but that's I just want to have that in the background. That's a vague answer, but it's hard to say. Just depending on how much you're putting into it. Ideally, if you can mail out 5 to 10 a week, over time, that's going to produce some transactions. Would you say 50 per week is good? I guess they're talking about signs, or no, you're talking about on the driving for dollars. Oh, that's a lot. You know what I'm saying? If you could find 50 houses to mail to in a week, that's 200. That you're going to kill it. If you could find 200 houses in a month to mail to just by driving around, oh, it's on. You're going to do deals. That's a lot of action. You're not even getting that many. That's a lot of action. You know what I'm saying? So whatever you're doing to find that many properties to mail to in a week, that's a lot of action. Now, how you mail to is going to be important, in my opinion, because getting your message read is the most important thing in direct mail, and standing out from the rest of your mail is key, especially from other real estate investors that are mailing probably the same property owners. How do you deal with someone asking if you're a wholesaler? Well, are we talking about a seller or a buyer? With either or, I just tell them I buy some, I wholesale some. So hey, it is what it is. You can tell them you're a straight wholesaler. Nothing wrong with being transparent. Normally, if a seller is asking you that, you're probably not going to be a deal there anyway. They're not going to be motivated because wholesaling is widespread as it is on YouTube and the internet in general. You can go to any mall or any Walmart or Target or whatever and ask 10 people, have they ever heard of it? And 9 of them will have never heard of it. So if a seller is asking you that, normally you're not going to have a deal there anyway. If a buyer is asking you that, you just be straight up with them. Yeah, that's what I do. So if they don't want to deal with you, that's someone you don't want to deal with anyway. Any more questions? I hate on the Facebook, on the YouTube live, a friend of mine, a really good friend of mine, my advisor, told me that we never lost connection, but my phone went out. I don't know why it wasn't charged. I have it plugged in or whatever. I think the power surge, it's a cheap one that I bought. My plug wasn't all the way in. So it says, how do you deal with someone asking if you, oh, that's the same question. Someone says, I love the videos. Thanks. I hope they help. But again, so we're here. Remember, you can follow me on Instagram, flipman.net, on Twitter, the Flipman. Subscribe on the YouTube channel. Make sure you are code enforcement. Let me go back. All right, someone says, are code enforcement's good leads? Yeah, it could be a good source. If you have the due diligence and the time to put into that, yeah, you could find some motivated sellers there. No question about it. So let me see here. Which do you recommend on bandit signs, handwritten or pre-written fonts? Well, you'll see older videos that I have where I showed you how to make your own signs or whatever. But bandit signs are so cheap now, and most people, for whatever reason, I can't get them to understand the importance of the marker and the tip. So I just start to stray away from recommending handwritten because most people don't know the right colors to use, the importance of the marker size. So I just say just use printed signs. That just keeps it clean. And again, printed signs are so cheap now compared to when I first started that, it's not that much difference. You're only talking, $40 or $50 more than just buying some blank signs, and it'll pay for itself. One deal will pay for 2 years of signs. So someone says on the closing on the closing instructions, when do you, let me see, when you're doing a double close, do you still put on the closing instructions, when you're doing a double close, do you still put assignment amount when you are doing a double close? I'm not even sure how I would handle that because I don't do double closing. I guess it really wouldn't matter if you're doing a double close because the title company or closing attorney will just do one transaction at one price and the other transaction at another price. That's a different process. Someone says, is the process for wholesaling commercial property the same as residential? The process in general is the same, but getting to that point is like, what's the best example? Like a chicken and an eagle. Both of them are birds, but totally two different animals. I'll say if you do a deal in other than your home state or taxes to be paid to that state, please contact a CPA. I don't get into tax advice or anything like that. Contact a CPA. But that's a good problem to have. There is such thing as good problems. That's one of them. That means you're making money. So would you recommend having another person with you when reviewing a property? That's going to be up to the individual, obviously, not to be male chauvinistic, but females may, want to make sure they're a little bit more aware of their surrounding a male. Not that either one of us both can get robbed or, harmed or whatever, but we know what the challenges and the differences are. So you're going to have to go with your own comfort level on that. Some women are, a little bit more brave than others. You're going to go by your personal experiences. So you have to make that decision yourself. Just be careful and just be aware of your surroundings. Someone says, do you feel that paying for websites that a list of leads are worth paying for that are a list? You could probably eventually stumble on some leads, I wouldn't do it. I've tried it before. I think I did one deal, but see, the thing about it is that understanding you're not the only one buying those leads. That's going to be a personal thing there, but I'm always for action over not doing anything. It's nothing I personally do just to say. We're going about to round this up here in a minute. So, do you use a virtual assistant service? Do you use a virtual assistant service? Do you use virtual assistant services? Is what it exactly says. No, I don't. I've had people help me with here or there, but for the most part, see, and I guess it just depends on how you go about your business and what type of marketing you have in play or whatever you're doing. Maybe they may be of some use to you or whatever, but for the most part, this work is not challenging in that sense. Now, some people's schedules don't permit, and they maybe, but just for the sake of just having it because you think it's going to make it easy or something like that. And I know a lot of other people preach that, but they do that because they know we want easy sales, I hope I don't come across that this is easy. It's a very simple process, but easy is not how I would explain it. But they understand that easy sales and virtual assistants make it seems easy. So don't get caught up into that now. Again, depending on what you're doing, they may be very useful for you, but don't think they're going to be able to run your business for you by no means. All right, said, how do you know if a market is a good area to buy in or not, or if there are investors in the area? They're going to be investors in any area. Your job is to find out who they are. If people are living there, I don't care how what your opinion of the area is, whether it's a blue collar areas, some people call it war zones, or upper middle class or even above. If people are living there, someone is investing there. One of the first things that I learned, if you watch enough of my stuff, I say it a few times over the years, every house is a step up for someone. Don't get caught up into where you would like to live or where you wouldn't live. I just like making money. Now, obviously, some areas are easier to make money than others, but I don't care where the deal comes from. If people are living there, there's money to be made. Now, again, there are factors in some stuff you just won't know until you test your market, but if someone's living there, they're either paying rent or they're buying. So that means opportunity. It's your job to figure out who are the investors in that area, and that comes from a lot of times just simply marketing your deals that you may have in that area. But again, as long as houses are not free, it's normally going to be a good area, so in that area. So, but again, some are better than others, obviously. Someone says, how many phone numbers do you use for your real estate business? Please give me an example where you get your numbers. Google Voice, I don't know how good it is now. I have numbers I've had for years. There's an app called Sideline. I think it's associated with Pinger. That's a good place to get numbers from. But there are a lot of places. Just Google is your friend. Just Google it, and you'll be able to choose and price. Some of them are free, like the app that I use, which is called Sideline. It's free, so I have a free version of it anyway. It says, is List Source a good lead source to use? Yes, and also Melissa Data. List Source and Melissa Data. But we're going to go ahead and round it up, guys. Appreciate the questions. Everybody's put out. We're going to go ahead and give out the free courses. Let me see here. Let me stop the screen sharing. And on the Facebook Live side of the game, we're going to let you guys go. I really appreciate everybody that was there. I don't know how many people are still on there, but that's cool. But again, thanks for showing up. We'll see you all next week. Okay. All right. So we'll start with the phone numbers. We'll pick a number here. I'm trying to get ready for my new edition. New edition story. I don't know how many of y'all are watching that, but I'm all in it. If you're my age, you're loving it. Oh yeah, it's been great. I'm surprised BET has done so well with it. But it's been great. So let's see who we got here. All right. All right, on the number side of the game, so we're gonna go with let's see what it spits out here. Numbers ending in 236 3463. 236 3463. So send me a text. Send me a text at 205-492-3425. 492-3425. 205-492-3425. That's where you want to text me, and I'll send you access to the free course, No Coaching. All right. Let me see here. And then on the chat side of the game here, all right. First initial is D, and last name is Reed. All right, so text me on 205-492-3425, 205-492-3425, 205-492-3425. Text me on 205-492-3425. Really appreciate everyone coming out on the Flippinar YouTube. Well, I think the YouTube live people are gone, but we'll crank it back up next week. Share the replay. Should be up, maybe a little later on tonight, no later than tomorrow. And I'll see you on the next Flippinar.